because some of us didn't see this coming. But you see, a political party by definition is an aggregation of views, opinions, and is made up of factions, caucuses, groups with divergent views. So, the aggregation of all of these views makes a political party. But hey, before you can aggregate these views, believe me, it's an arduous task. It's not a tea party. Now, I'm sure in our own different families, when you have issues within the family, you know how very serious it always is to resolve issues within single families. Now, you cannot extrapolate into a larger society when we now talk of millions of people. Each person with his own preconceived agenda, his own preconceived view of how things should be. So for any leader or group of leaders to efficiently and proficiently manage these divergent views and opinions is always not a tea party. The issue the last speaker raised about widening the circle for younger ones to get into the fore in APC has been on over 10 years. That I can tell you. It's not just the last Saturday's election that is throwing that up. But because of the nature of human society, there are always strictures, even when you want to move. It's not been easy. Yes, the older establishment would always resist change here and there, it's given. However, there's one thing I will leave with you, the youths. Power, like Asiwaju says, is never given on a platter of gold. Power is never served a la carte. You cannot sit down and say you are a youth, so therefore they should come and take you out and put you in the House of Assembly or put you in the cabinet or anywhere else in the institutions of government or in the political process. Never. Power is to be snatched. You have to snatch it with your numbers. And I'll give you an example. Even my own children, I have a running battle with them, arguing. We can argue from now till the wee hours of the morning. And we argue and argue, and they tell me, oh, you older generation, you did this, you did this, you did do this, you did do this. And then I will tell them that, oh, you younger generation, you are also failing in your duties. And I will give an example. I was a teenager when I entered university. I was 19 when I entered university. And my first university experience was a riot. And what was the riot about? It wasn't about we didn't have water, light, or whatever. It was on the national political issue that we felt strongly about. I attended University of Lagos here. Muritala Muhammad, who was head of state, was assassinated during a coup, February of 1976. And we poured out on the streets in protest. Why? Because when Muritala took over, he started a kind of revolution. He came with a revolutionary fervor. He started all kinds of policies that was deemed by us as very progressive. And he took Nigeria to the world map And that was when Nigeria started supporting the anti-apartheid struggle in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, in Namibia. All the countries in that region of Africa, they were all under shackles of colonialism and white supremacy. Muritala brought Nigeria's voice to bear. And we felt elated, excited as students. We went on the streets when he was killed. And we had suspicion that the British government had a hand in it. We filed to the British embassy there on Martin Street and destroyed the entire building. We didn't pour out to riot or protest on purely personal, selfish reasons or basis. No. Even before us, long before us, in the 60s, the University of Ibadan, famous riots that shook the then federal government. Why? Because there was an Anglo-Nigerian Defence Pact which stipulated that if anything happened within Nigeria, Britain could bring its troops to quell protests, to quell riots and all that. And the students in the University of Ibadan felt that was still colonialism or neo-colonialism in another form. And they went on the streets in protest. That was the kind of fervor that youths then had, and in our own time too, that we had. We rioted and protested on societal ills, not on cultism, not on hooking games, not on brigandage, not on 419, not on fraud, never on personal basis, but things that affected the society at large. And that's how you form your own political behavior. And you start getting noticed by the political players. The late Bola, who was governor of Oyo State and was federal attorney general before he was killed. Those were the Awolowo's youngsters. But these were people who studied politics from school. But they were not protesting and propagating personal interests. They were all agitating for the improvement in the society. And then the political players noticed them and started bringing them on board. That's what I recommend for our youths. You have to come to, because you have the numbers. If, for instance, in the Ikeja local government, the youths who are more than the adults anyway, if they came together and brought one of them out and all voted for that person, it will be possible to stop such a person. Actors of government. And that's how you plant yourselves, and then you grow with it. I have seen a young man who told me that, oh, all the elders have filled all the positions. That I asked him how old he was. He said he was 35. I said, shame on you. Shame on you. At 35, that's one of the greatest ages to be. At 35, you are young enough to take all the risks, and you are mature enough for any position, for any other position. But you are lethargic. There is inertia. Now, another thing that I want to speak on briefly is knowledge. Today, I still told some people yesterday in Abuja, some youngsters that I was mentoring. I said today, the youths of today have all the access to information. You have the Twitter, you have Instagram, you have FaceTime, you name it. You have all the gadgets of information at your fingertips. But guess what? Ironically, there's very little knowledge. Why? All these gadgets are used for entertainment. gadgets contain all the knowledge that you want. But the youths, the larger section of the youths don't use these things for knowledge accumulation. They use them for entertainment, for frivolities, for the mundane, for the ridiculous. At the end of the day, they become victims to those who can manipulate with misinformation or disinformation. But because they lack the information, they lack the knowledge, they lack the backgrounding or research, or what we call empirical verification, they swallow this misinformation hook, line, and sinker. And that's why you have the obedient movement that's been captured by mere fraud. But because a larger percentage of the youth don't have information, and they don't even bother to find out information. When the Muslim issue came up late last year, I was in the US and I wrote an article about it, pointing out the irrelevances in the hue and cry over Muslim ticket. And I said in that article that somebody should please come out and tell me that for the past over 7 years that we've had a vice president who is a Christian, how far has he defended the interests of the Christian community in the entire Nigeria? Nobody could say a word. So what was really the import of having a Christian as a VP? If there is no demonstration of the capacity of that Christian to effect any meaningful change in the welfare of Christians. So, therefore, the hue and cry from the pastorpreneurs, I call them pastorpreneurs, just like common entrepreneurs. A lot of them are commercial pastors. All they want is a Christian in the corridor of power that they can have access to for patronage, not for spiritual development of the country. And I challenge any one of them to a public debate. And I'll give you also one example. One pastor saw me. I went for a meeting in the villa a couple of years back. The pastor saw me and the vice president discussing after the meeting. And he came to me and said, "Oh, Mr. Alake, I saw you discussing with the VP. Oh, so you are friends with him?" I said, "It's not my friends. We come a long way, over 40 years together. We were in the same classroom in high school in Idowu College here. So we've come a long, long way. And we have trajectories together." Then you needed to see the countenance. His face lit up and asked to be introduced. So I said, "Why would I introduce you to the VP? You are a pastor. He is also a pastor, so there's no issue of you going to combat him. He's already a pastor. Why?" So I said, "Because you want access to patronage." He laughed very sheepishly and said, no, just let me know. I said, "I won't. I will not," and I did not. But till today, nobody has been able to tell me or controvert my point that a sitting vice president being a Christian makes no difference to the welfare of Christians. I am a Christian. I was born a Christian and I will remain a Christian all my life. I know Jupiter can convert me to any other religion. At the same time, I am not a mental slave to any religious indoctrination by entrepreneurs